All right, let's talk about the smart home energy brain. I mean, what if your house could literally pay its own electricity bill and maybe even make you some money on the side? Today, we are diving into some absolutely groundbreaking research that could turn your home into a smart energy powerhouse. Okay, just picture this for a second. What if your house knew, really knew, when electricity prices were about to spike, and then it just automatically cut back to save you cash? And what if it knew exactly when your solar panels were going to be soaking up the sun and could decide right there on the fly, should we store this power, use it now, or hey, maybe we sell it back to the grid for a nice little profit? This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This is the very near future of home energy.
So you might be asking, why do we even need all this? Well, our traditional power grid was, a pretty simple one-way street. Power plants made electricity, and they sent it to our homes. End of story. But renewables, we're talking solar and wind, they've completely changed the game. They're amazing for sure, but they are also super unpredictable, right? The sun isn't always shining, the wind isn't always blowing, and that creates a massive challenge for keeping the whole grid stable and balanced.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the new energy challenge. Then we'll introduce you to the Prosumer and meet the smart energy team working inside your house. We're going to see how they plan their day, check out if it actually works, and wrap up with what this all means for the future. Let's get into it.
So for like the last 100 years, our relationship with electricity has been, well, pretty boring, right? We've just been passive consumers. You flip a switch, the lights come on, you get a bill in the mail, you pay it. That's it. But that whole model, it's being completely turned on its head.
And the big solution that all the experts are betting on is something called the smart grid. The thing is, its success totally depends on us, you and me, the consumers, becoming active players in the game. Instead of our homes just being these silent takers of energy, they can now have a real two-way conversation with the grid, making smart financial decisions like every single second.
And that brings us to a really important new word, the prosumer. It's pretty much what it sounds like, a mashup of producer and consumer. Because with things like solar panels and batteries, your home isn't just a place that uses electricity anymore. Nope, it's now a mini power hub that can generate power, store it, and even sell it back to the grid.
So what's the brain behind this whole operation? Well, the researchers who developed this call it MASHES. It's a bit of a mouthful, multi-agent smart home electricity system. But you can just think of it as the super smart operating system for your home's energy. And its one and only job, to maximize your profit. That's it.
Now, MASHES isn't just one single big program. It's way cooler than that. It actually works by using a whole team of specialized software agents. Think of them like players on a sports team. Each one has a very specific job, and they all have to work together perfectly. So let's meet the key players on your home's new energy team, shall we?
Well, okay, I know what you're thinking. This diagram looks a little intense. But don't worry about all the lines and boxes. Seriously, the main thing to see here is that big circle in the middle, the energy scheduler. We're going to call that the team's coach. And you can see it's connected to everything. The solar panels, the battery, all your appliances, and even the outside market. The roles of each player are actually super simple when we break them down. All right, first up, we've got the Energy Scheduler, or ES. This is the coach of the team. It is the absolute brain of the operation. It's constantly watching weather forecasts, checking real-time electricity prices. It calls all the plays for the rest of the team. And it has one single goal, making the absolute best financial decision for you every single minute of the day. Next on the team, we have the producers. Now, the fancy term is distributed energy resources, or DERs, but really you can just think of them as your solar panels. Their job is super straightforward. Generate as much clean energy as they possibly can whenever that sun is shining. Then, of course, you have the consumers. Technically, they're called electrical loads, but this is just everything in your house that uses power. Your air conditioning, your water heater, your TV, your fridge, you name it. And the coach's job is to make sure all these things get the power they need, but, and this is the important part, always at the lowest possible cost. And finally, we get to the real strategic powerhouse of the team, the savers. These are your energy storage systems. So think of your home battery or even your electric vehicle plugged into the garage. Honestly, these are the total game changers. They can store all that free solar energy during the day and then use it at night when power from the grid is super expensive. Or even better, sell it back to the grid for a tidy profit when prices are high. So this diagram really just shows us that constant flow of information. And again, the key thing to notice is the ES, our coach, smack dab in the middle.
It's in this constant communication loop with absolutely everything: the solar panels, the appliances, the battery, and the outside energy market. It's the central coordinator, making sure every single part of the team is working together to pull off the most profitable strategy possible.
So, how does the coach actually make all these decisions? I mean, it's got to be pretty smart, right? Well, it doesn't just react to what's happening right now. It's always thinking ahead, and it uses a really clever two-stage game plan.
Here is how it works. It happens in two phases. First, you've got the day-ahead stage. So the night before, the system looks at all the forecasts, weather, prices, everything, and it creates a master plan for the next 24 hours. But hey, we all know forecasts can be wrong, right? That's exactly why there's a second step, the balancing stage. This is where the system makes constant, real-time adjustments. So if an unexpected cloud rolls in and covers the sun, or you suddenly decide to turn on the oven, boom, the system instantly adapts its plan on the fly.
And this is where it gets really cool, because this is where you get to be the team owner. The system has this feature the researchers call an optimistic coefficient. Let's just call it what it is, your personal risk dial. You can set it to be super conservative, play it safe, or you can crank that dial all the way up, go optimistic, and let the system take some calculated risks on the energy market to try and score you the biggest possible profit.
Okay, this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But does it, actually work? The researchers ran a super detailed simulation to answer the one question that really matters: can this system actually save you money, or better yet, make you money?
And the answer is a big, resounding yes. In their simulation, when the homeowner cranked that risk dial all the way to its most optimistic setting, the system didn't just save a little money, it generated a profit of $51.71 over the test period. It literally turned the home's energy system into a small, profitable business. So where did all that profit come from? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is the battery. Just look at this chart. It shows how much more energy the home was able to sell back to the market just by having a battery. Without one, it sold just under 8 units of power, but with a battery, that number leaped to over 12.5. That is a massive increase, and it's all because the system was smart enough to store that free solar power and then wait to sell it when the price was at its absolute peak.
But the system doesn't just make money, it's also an expert at saving it. And it does this with smart scheduling, which is sometimes called a demand response program. All this really means is that it automatically runs your big energy hog appliances at the cheapest times of day. And as this chart shows, that simple strategy cut the amount of energy the home had to buy from the grid from almost 42 units all the way down to 32, just by being clever about when to run stuff like the water heater.
So yeah, the results are pretty clear. We are not talking about some tiny incremental improvement here. This is a fundamental shift in how our homes can operate as part of the entire energy grid.
So, let's boil this all down, right? What are the key takeaways? First, a home's energy use can be optimized just like a business. Second, the real genius is planning for uncertainty, and that's the key to maximizing profit. Third, battery storage is an absolutely powerful tool for bringing in revenue. And finally, these smart programs, these DRPs, are crucial for saving you money and energy. Simple as that.
Look, this kind of technology is evolving incredibly fast. It really points to a future where our homes are not just passive shelters anymore, but active, intelligent partners that are helping us build a cleaner, more efficient energy grid. Which, leaves us with one final, pretty fascinating question to think about. As our houses get this smart, are we ready to hand over the keys and just let them manage our power for us?